The lounge was alive with chaos, papers scattered, pens rolling off the coffee table, and the occasional sound of bickering over answers. Wine and her friends were at Jungkook's apartment for a study group. It was night and they all came with a fun activity. After studying for a few hours, having the snacks, and even playing games in between, now they were having a test for whatever they studied today. Everyone was done except for Wine, who was still stuck. She was bad at studies. Wine sat, cross legged on the carpet, her foot tapping restlessly against the floor. Across from her, Jungkook leaned back against the couch, one arm draped lazily over the backrest. His eyes hadn't left her for the past 10 minutes. JK, you done for, he said, voice low enough that only she could hear it. They were close, the closest among everyone present in the room. Best friends since the start of high school, and now they were in the college. Lion, you don't know that. JK, I can see your paper. Subin, 2 minutes left, he called out, showing the timer on his phone. Yuna, whoever loses has to do whatever the winner says. No backing out, she reminded. No, teased. The all teased wine because she was clearly the one losing right now. Wine, don't remind me. When the timer was finally up, she gave up, letting out a groan. They exchanged papers marking, and clearly Wine had the least score, with Yuna taking the most score. Laughter and cheers exploded around her, mainly teasing her and scaring her, being overdramatic, as if they were going to ask her to bomb a city or something. Jungkook, who had been silent the entire time, pushed off the couch and wandered toward the far wall, leaning back against it with his hands in his pockets, calm, relaxed, untouchable. Fine, fine. What is it? They looked at each other, some sort of eye language because they all smirked. Ryan, Yuna, you giving me the dare, or we get back to the games. I need to finish the battle. Yuna, not so quick, my love. She stood up, walking over to Ryan, taking a seat beside her. Yuna, you know, Jungkook has a scar on his chest. We all have seen it when he played sports. Ryan, you want me to treat it? It's old. Yuna, go kiss it. Ryan, what? You're joking. They shook their head in unison, like some clowns, or maybe the real clown was her. Ryan turned to look at Jungkook. He was already watching her, his expression unreadable. He didn't say a word, didn't even move. He just waited. Her heart pounded painfully against her ribcage. This was insane. They couldn't be serious. But then Yuna smirked. Yuna, unless you're scared. That did it. Fine, I'm not scared. Jungkook didn't flinch as she walked toward him, body back against the wall, hand in his pockets, eyes sharp on her. He didn't know why he was suddenly getting involved, but he didn't know if he wanted to stop it or not. When she stopped in front of him, he tilted his head slightly, almost like he was daring her to back out. Jackie, don't. He said quietly, slow, low, that only she could hear. Mine, don't what? Jackie, don't do it for a dare, he whispered. That voice made her breath hitch. However, she didn't stop. Shaking fingers reached for the top button of her shirt. She hesitated, but his eyes never left hers. Not once, as she slipped her first button, the second, the third. His chest came into view, smooth and toned, but her focus landed on the scar just below his collarbone. It was jagged, faint, but impossible to ignore. Her fingertips brushed against it, and he tensed. JK, don't. His voice was tight this time, strained, but she wasn't stopping. She couldn't. Not when her pulse was racing and her skin burned under his gaze. She leaned in, lips hovering over the scar for a moment before pressing against it. Soft, slow, careful, his breath hitched sharply and audible. She felt his chest rise and fall under her lips, felt the way his muscles tensed beneath her fingertips, as if he was barely holding himself together. She didn't stop there. Another kiss, softer this time. Her lips lingered, letting the heat of his skin seep into her own. Wine, he called, his voice shaky and low. And before she could even process it, his hands were on her, gripping her waist and pulling her toward the hallway. That's when they finally remembered they had friends as well. The loud hooting was so audible before they ignored it. The laughter and voices faded the moment they crossed into his room. Then the door shut behind them. The air shifted, thick and unsteady. Jungkook turned to face her, shirt still open, exposing the scar she had just kissed. His eyes were darker now, heavier, like he was still trying to catch his breath. He closed the distance between them, locked his hand in her hair and the other around her waist, and kissed her. It was not a soft kiss at all. Rough, passionate, deep, intimate. It took her every breath away. He tilted his head, closing the distance between their bodies before picking her up, and walked over to the bed, putting her down on it, and hovered above her. Zeke, you shouldn't have done that. Why? It was a bet. Zeke, was it really? I told you to stop. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Now, when his fingers brushed against her jaw, tilting her face up. Zeke, tell me you didn't feel it. He whispered. Her silence was all the confirmation he needed. Zeke, are you going to keep quiet? Moved his face in her neck, earning a gasp from her, his hand intertwining hers. Zeke, be mine. I don't think I can keep these feelings to myself anymore. Ryan, what? She whispered and he pulled back, meeting her eyes again. Zeke, be mine, Ryan. Be mine. From here till the very end, be mine and let me be yours. She closed her eyes when he leaned closer to her. It was a yes, a silent yes, but a yes anyways. He kissed her again, and so she kissed back, wrapping arms around his neck. When they returned, they were teased as hell, receiving silence from Jungkook and a ton of curses from Ryan for teasing her. But they were happy. Whatever the reason, it brought them together. Something they desired deep down their hearts.